I'm sure by now you guys are all very aware of the term gaslighting, which is essentially the uncanny ability that people on the narcissistic spectrum have to rewrite history to suit their own purposes. And once you become aware of it, you'll notice their response to conflict tends to follow a very familiar and recognizable pattern. All right, let's paint this picture. So let's say 15-year-old Jonathan gives his first Bible reading, his first talk. And he does a pretty good job, He worked really hard on it, Of course he's filled with nerves, and of course it's his first talk, so he's going to be a bit nervous and stumble through it a little bit. But he did a really good job. And maybe after the meeting, when there's a little social time, one of the elders is coming up and being complimentary, conservatively complimentary, as they do. And despite the fact that everyone's being relatively congratulatory, Jonathan's father is clearly upset because it didn't meet the standards of what he expected. So right in front of the elder, he says something like, "You didn't really even study the Bible passage, did you? You embarrassed yourself and me." And that last part, of course, is the most important thing here. So, of course, Jonathan is pretty fucking devastated and has this thorn in his heart after all the work he had put in, just to have a fucking good job, son, would have been nice. And so it's a long car ride home, quiet and tense, as it often is. And then once they get home, Jonathan summons the courage to say, "Hey, Dad, when you said that in front of other people, I was already really nervous and it made me feel really humiliated." Now, of course, what we would want from a father in that moment is, "Oh my God, son, I am so sorry. Let me understand this better about what happened, because that is the last thing I would ever want for you, is to feel humiliated. Let's sort through this." But of course, we already know that's not where this is going. And so we cue the narcissist deflection cascade. Round 1. I didn't say that. This is gaslighting 101. just completely deny it. But then Jonathan follows up and says, you did say that, Dad. This is, and he repeats it exactly how it went. And he goes, I didn't say it like that. You're twisting my words again. But Jonathan persists. He says, "You did say that, Dad." And this is round 2. "Well, even if I did say that, it wasn't that bad." Which is, of course, minimization. Come on, it was just a little constructive feedback. You're being too sensitive. Again, avoiding responsibility and making you and your overly sensitive nature the problem. But Jonathan persists. He says, "I'm not being too sensitive, Dad. That really sucked." Moving into round 3. "Well, even if it was that bad, I didn't mean it." This is what's called intent washing. And from that point, reframing the whole situation as really a gesture of love. "I'd never intentionally hurt you, son. I just want you to do well and represent Jehovah properly." And again, Jonathan persists. And he says, "Dad, that may be true, but the way you went about doing it really hurt my feelings." And that's where we go into round 4. "Even if I did mean it, well, you deserved it. If you'd actually prepared like I told you to do, then I wouldn't have had to say anything at all. You brought this upon yourself," which is blame shifting. Now again, let's assume Jonathan has been through a little bit of therapy and understands that this is bullshit, what is happening. And he says, "Dad, you know what? I didn't bring this upon myself. You may have had good intentions, but the way you went about doing this was very hurtful." And now we shift into the final round. Boss level. Which is something like, "Oh, and now you're making me out to be the bad guy." Which is called victim reversal. I tried so hard to raise you right and guide you spiritually, and this is the thanks I get. Simultaneously making himself the victim and making you a piece of shit because you're not grateful enough for all of the things he's doing for you. Now, if any of this is sounding familiar, you know how this goes, which it never results in, oh, you know what? You're bringing some things to light for me, son, that I need to reflect on. Oh, no, no. This is how it goes, and it escalates. And if none of that works, then it shifts to things like, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. What are we even talking about? Or a plea for sympathy. You're right. I am a terrible person. I can never do anything right. I am such a terrible father. Blah, 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 blah. Or, I don't know, full-on character assassination.